Welcome to Stenn's first webinar series, where we are highlighting Love Pebble as our first company from an e-commerce success stories. From startup to stardom, Love Pebble's secrets to e-commerce success. So welcome, everyone. So a couple of things we want you to take away from today's webinar is really with changing landscape in the e-commerce space, which is constant. We want a few things as takeaway items. So one, what are some takeaways we can take to how to ride the wave of new social commerce channels and payment models? So what are the things that can really help kind of grow your business quickly, that sort of thing? Second is managing rapid growth through your supply chain. So this has obviously it's an evolving, constantly changing dynamic of how do we get suppliers to give us access to supply at the right times, at the right price, and so on and so forth. And then really making smart financial decisions and how we keep our dreams on track as an e-commerce company. So those are mainly the three things we want you to take away from today's webinar. I'll introduce myself. So I'm Noel Hillman. I'm the Chief Revenue Officer at Stenn. I've spent about the past decade of my career working in companies that support e-commerce brands from a funding perspective. And so I've seen lots of rapid change, but nowhere near the change that I think our other participant here, Paul Tran, has seen, because he's lived it every single day. So Paul is the co-founder of Love Pebble with his wonderful wife, Linda, and can't wait for the insights he will share with us today. So some housekeeping items. So this webinar is being recorded and will be shared after the fact to all the participants. You can click the live transcript button if you want to see closed captions and if there's audio issues. And then use the Zoom Q&A to ask any questions along the way. And we have people backstage who will be helping to queue those questions for us. So jumping right in, I guess to kind of set the table, we wanted to look at really the state of play in 2024 for the e-commerce space. And so as you all know, it is rapidly growing, rapidly evolving, and there's some interesting metrics that I think are both relevant for today, but also as this market continues to grow and evolve, some really exciting kind of opportunities will evolve. So one, the average ARPU or average revenue per user for online consumer goods is about $3,000 per year. And when you think about the last decade where it was a much smaller number, it's becoming way more common for people to buy online. In fact, about 15% of retail sales happen online, and that's projected to continue to grow to be north of 25% over the next 2 years. So continued growth in this space, and it is really rapidly changing as well. So from a global sales via social media, about $1.3 billion were spent in 2023 by people in e-commerce brands through social media. So the evolution of the platforms that support e-commerce brands and then social media, that combination of both of those things have really exploded the space. And so once again, from a year-over-year perspective, this is projected to grow north of 15% year-over-year for at least the next 5 years. 45% of e-commerce sales are done via mobile. So it's a channel that obviously very easy for the consumer to purchase with their phone. And so enablement through mobile is very important as well. And then $3.3 trillion of cross-border trade transactions by 2028 is what we can expect for supporting e-commerce brands. And so when you think about the past decade and really the change that has evolved here, this is a massive change in that international cross-border trade used to be very large buyers buying from large suppliers. That has really been democratized, and e-commerce has disrupted that space where now even smaller e-commerce brands can buy direct from international trade companies as well. So really interesting and disruptive, and it's interesting how the space has evolved around this as well. 90% failure rate for e-commerce startups within the first 120 days. So because this is a very fast evolving business, it tends to be a business that businesses either figure it out very quickly or they don't. And so that statistic is obviously something that Stenn is interested in helping to change and drive to be much lower than 90%. And so support from whether it's capital or platforms or technology, we see this statistic changing and becoming more favorable over time. So with many opportunities, there are many challenges. And so I can't wait to dive into this and really talk about, how do we address the challenges, but also how do we take advantage of the opportunities? So one, customer acquisition, as you can read here, omni-channel businesses have a much higher success rate and a much higher purchase rate. And so when you think about really the customer acquisition side, omni-channel seems to be very important. And that includes not just platform and web, but also social. Obviously, social has been something that has become very, very successful and helped a lot of e-commerce businesses grow significantly. It obviously has its challenges, but it creates a massive opportunity for the e-commerce brands. In fact, TikTok, for instance, as a fun statistic, is 55% of TikTok users have made impulse purchases on the platform. I think I've probably driven that statistic much higher myself. Tend to buy things through social, but having kind of top of mind with consumers consistently where their eyeballs are at, which is on social media, has become a really fast growth path for many e-commerce brands. And so kind of a question to leave here is, how are you leveraging social and influencers as part of that? Obviously, influencers have helped brands kind of go viral at times on social media. And so we always want you to be thinking of that in your omni-channel strategy. The next piece is really inventory management. And so, when you look at the statistic of accuracy of inventory, it's only at 63%, which means that brands are many times, and it's not just online brands, but also retailers, this is a fairly inaccurate number in my view. So 63% means that you only have the right amount of supply for only about 63% of the time. And so when you look at the tools and the opportunities in this space, this is one large area that we can focus on, whether it's through technology or through better modeling or real-time kind of inventory. And so, the next item we'll talk about really, I think, is one place that really will disrupt this inventory management space, and that's AI. And so today, 51% of e-commerce brands are leveraging AI or tools with AI to really help provide a seamless customer experience. I see this statistic is going to continue to grow as AI becomes more common in use cases, and also is applied to different areas of our products and tools that we use to help e-commerce brands grow. So, very, very important that you're front and center of the technology as it's evolving and leveraging these things, because I do believe they will help not only drive sales, but as the last statistic showed, really make inventory management more effective. And the second to last is lean e-commerce. And so when you think about the what lean e-commerce means, it's the principle of continuous improvement and minimizing waste. And so lots of companies are focused on this, whether they be delivery companies looking to shrink the number of miles that they spend on the road to deliver product, but also even fulfillment is how do we move closer to kind of real-time inventory and things like that. And so 35% of retailers say this is a main priority for them, is essentially how do I make it easier to get product into my customers' hands and at a cheaper rate as well. And so it's a major component of margin that e-commerce businesses can control. And last and not least is sustainability. And so this is also top of mind. And I think really being driven by the consumer. When you think of consumers are buying more sustainable goods. And so you're seeing brands that are really speaking to these type of consumers with their branding and their product and then living up to that brand by focusing on lean e-commerce and other things as well. And so sustainability is becoming kind of its own sector of focus in the space as well. And I see that being very interesting going forward. And like I said, really driven by the consumer, which then, typically the businesses tend to align with the consumer very quickly. And so kind of the next thing we want to do is really enough of me talking. Let's hear from Paul, who has run a fantastic business called Love Pebble that has a ton of success and has gone viral on TikTok. Paul and Linda have been on Shark Tank and the Today Show, and they've had a ton of great success. And so, we sit here and talk about all the great things, and which we will, but we want to hear Paul's story and how he built the brand that he has and the strategies he's employed to grow Love Pebble to the success story it is. And so, Paul, thank you so much for joining us. Really, really do appreciate your time and hoping that you can share some great knowledge with our folks today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Noel. It's good to be here. Excited.
Amazing. So let's start off with a question around really your story, your growth story. How did the brand start? Where did the idea from the business come, and even the name? Would love to hear that. An interesting name for your business. So maybe just a little bit about kind of how you started and your story.
Yeah, so my background is I've been a pharmacist for over 12 or 13 years. And I landed my dream job coming out of school. I used to be the corporate pharmacist for Delta Airlines. So inside their corporate offices, they had all the execs and corporate people had their own pharmacists, and that was me for over 12 years. And then, I met my wife, and I remember one day she just looked over at me and she was like, "Hey, do you want to start a business?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. Let's start." And when we started the business, we didn't really know which direction we wanted to go, but my wife loves skincare. So I was like, okay, let's do this, right? I mean, fast forward today, if you would have asked me or told me that, hey, you'd be the CEO of a skincare brand, I would have looked at you puzzled, completely oblivious, right? But the name Love and Pebble does come from my wife's name, Linda, and my name Paul, the P in Pebble. And so the company is really kind of us as a couple. Yeah, so we started the product, and I remember looking over one day and I saw my wife rubbing a frozen banana on her face, and I was like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "No, this really works. This is like true skincare." It's like totally crazy, right? And I applied it myself, and I was like, "Wow, this is really amazing." So we spent like 2 or 3 years R&Ding our hero product you see on here called the Beauty Pops, and we launched it in 2021. And since then, we've been trying to prove our concept and my wife's invention in the skincare industry, which is the Beauty Pops, which is basically a frozen skincare. It's a facial spa in the comfort of your home. It totally transforms your skin. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do in our path to growth is really solidify ourselves as a really good skincare treatment in the beauty space.
Amazing, amazing. I guess along the way, what are some of the largest kind of, I'd say, whys in the road that you had to cross and make decisions to do this or to do that? Maybe highlight a few of those if you don't mind. I'm sure there's been many.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it looks like a tree at this point. Like it's just a lot of roots or a lot of branches, right? But yeah, I mean, whether it's, ordering like a big amount of inventory or, like all the opportunities that we've had, like Shark Tank, even deciding to go on Shark Tank, which to us to this day, Shark Tank actually reached out to us because they found one of our viral videos. And at first we thought it was a prank, but it actually was, and it totally changed our business. It's the Shark Tank effect is real. To deciding to promote and use TikTok as a sales channel, that was a big choice for us that paid off really well. To, choosing whichever manufacturer. So we manufactured in the US at first, but last year we made a decision to move all of our manufacturing to Korea. So we're in the process of like really kind of just trying to formulate in Asia. So last year was a big move for us. So I think we spent 4 months. We just packed up our whole family, moved to Asia, and just
Wow.
decided that that was the choice for our brand. So
Amazing, amazing. And are you selling a lot of product in Asia and across the world as well?
yeah, I mean, our main focus is US, right? But that is on the horizon, like especially with like the way e-commerce is. It's a global community now, right? And especially platforms like TikTok, which we're heavily invested in. It connects people not just in the US but around the world. So
Amazing. And you just kind of highlighted one, but how often have you had to shift your expectations or to flex new opportunities? Obviously, moving your family to Asia was one big one, and that's paid off. But do you have other examples of where you've kind of had to go where the demand is, essentially? Like for instance, maybe how to talk about how you started on TikTok.
yeah, so I mean, I think my biggest quote that I came up with is dream big and pivot. And those are the two things as an entrepreneur that you have to have. You have to have that big goal, but you're pivoting so much along the way, right? Whether it was airing on Shark Tank, which in itself sounds amazing. It is. It gets you a ton of sales, but with that massive amount of sales came all these logistic issues that we were not prepared for as a small business, right? So you don't really think about that, but I mean, there's just so many stories along the way. And I'm pretty sure every entrepreneur that is in the 10% that's still alive past the 120 days from that statistic you showed, which was mind blowing to me, by the way. I think you have to pivot to stay in business. So, Shark Tank was one that moved to Asia was a really big one that I think it's going to pay off in the future as we come out with, more better products. Because, what we found is in the Korean skincare industry, they're so innovative, and our product is one of the most innovative products that we know. And so when we met with a cosmetic chemist, went through the labs, and they really understood what we were trying to do and formulate.
Love that. Love that. So maybe pivoting into kind of the nuts and bolts of customer acquisition and marketing, which I think it's interesting, starting with kind of your story is having a passion about the product and caring about how it's made and what it means to people is, I think, foundational to success in this. And then on top of that, you start building like, what are the tactical strategies that I can run to acquire people and to get them interested in my product? And so transitioning into that, kind of maybe talk a little about the evolution. Have you always been did you start with TikTok? Did you start with other channels? Have you tested other ways to acquire customers? Maybe walk us through a little bit of that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I mean, I really resonate with what you said earlier with the omni channel. I think that is key to success. I do know, like, and there's a lot of other brands that you will find probably one channel that kind of catapults you, or you find a little bit more success at first. Yeah, we've tried every channel. I mean, we sell on Amazon, we sell on our own Shopify store. We are big on TikTok. We've done marketing on Facebook and Instagram. And then we're in a couple retailers. So right now we're in Urban Outfitters, and then we have been on HSN. So, wherever, place is a good fit for our brand to help promote it, we'll definitely explore, right? It's just the one thing that we found massive success is with TikTok, and it makes sense because of the way the platform is. We talk about e-commerce, and like the main thing about e-commerce is this new idea of it's called shoptainment, right? So it's entertainment mixed with shopping, e-commerce, right? And with our product being so innovative, new, it gave a way for us to be able to tell our story and tell what the product is, tell about like the form factor, how it's used, how it transforms your skin. And so I think that's really big in terms of the e-commerce space is, like everyone is on the same, phone or screen or on their computer, right? But how do you convey that message in short form or long form or video format so that resonates? Right?
Amazing. Maybe talk a little bit about the evolution of that, because I'm sure, when you look back at some of the first videos you created for this, do you laugh or did you hit the ground running as an amateur filmmaker to be able to, I guess, how has that evolved over time?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is just industry standard. Like we talk about UCG where it's really raw, but to be honest, one of the first things that when we launched our beauty pops, I looked over my wife. I was like, "Hey, you need to make videos on TikTok." And I remember I was like just pressing on her for 2 weeks, like, "Hey, you need to make it." She made, I think after her first like 2 or 3, her third or fourth one went viral. I think like 4 or 5 million. We sold out all of our inventory. She got excited. We got excited. And I mean, it just really happened that fast. And it was just a video of her mom using her beauty pop, seeing the transform of her skin. She's like 60 years old, and how like really helped her skin out. And that's honestly where e-commerce is, right? They don't want like the super produced, overly edited videos. They want the UCG, and there's different aspects to that UCG that really you have to understand and learn, like the hook rate and how it really draws people in. But that's the beauty about TikTok and e-commerce in general. Like people just want like the real deal, right? They want to ask Noel, "Hey, does this product work?" And you go back and like, "Yeah, it works. This is why." And then that helps with conversion. So, and since that first video when we started posting in 2023, we launched our affiliate program that you were talking about, influencers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you imagine just one person making a video explaining how awesome our beauty pops are, now we have about 2,000 affiliates just all saying, "Hey, I've tried this product. It works really well. And that's kind of catapulted us to where we are today.
When you bring on affiliates, what does that process look like? Are you looking for people, obviously you're looking for authentic people that care about your product specifically. And so maybe talk about that process of how you onboard them and that sort of thing.
Yeah, some pretty good nuggets are we launched our affiliate program in 2023. We've worked with some other affiliates before, but we were looking for like really big affiliates, right? So, you know, when we partnered with them, what we found was they didn't really care about our brand and they were just doing it for money, to be honest, right? And so they would pump out a video, it wouldn't do well, and then we'd lose a lot of money. In 2023, we went on TikTok and we started the affiliate program, which was totally unique. And it's basically a rev share. So they promote a product and, you know, if we get a sale, they get a commission of that, right? That totally changed our company, to be honest. We reached out to affiliates and not based on their followers or, you know, what they really, their presence, but really the authenticity of who they are.
Wow.
And so then like we were having like stay-at-home moms promote our product, and then all of a sudden they were like, hey, this is so amazing, you know, I'm a stay-at-home mom, I need this time for myself, this is self-care time, and it just blew up. And what we realized is like that authenticity of what our product actually does for them resonated with so many people, right? And now those moms who never thought they could be skinfluencers or influencers are actually making a living off of this, which is even more amazing because it's like a symbiotic relationship.
Wow.
So yeah, we partner with them. And then the other thing about our influencer program is we found that different pockets of communities, right? So we have the stay-at-home moms that we discovered, right? We have the estheticians who own spa, which makes more sense for us, but it really validated what our product is. So there will be a lot of estheticians that come in and be like, oh my gosh, this concept's so amazing. Like I want to use it in my spa. So like the discovery of those different communities was like paramount to success. But yeah, so it's been
amazing. I love finding authentic people that represent your product as the kind of core strategy there. That's amazing. It really resonates in the brand, by the way, too.
yeah.
You know, I guess, how often do you consider looking at new channels and new opportunities, right? As things constantly evolve in the space and move very quickly, how often are you assessing your acquisition strategies and where to spend your dollars to acquire people and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean that's every day, every week we meet up with our marketing team, you know, which channels we want to push. But I will say this, we've gone viral so many times and it is hard as a business to manage, believe it or not. With virality comes sporadic sales, which is like surges in sales. And so that wreaks havoc on cash flow, on supply chain, on how you customer service, right? To put in perspective, I think on when we aired on Shark Tank, they don't tell you when you're going to air. You film in Culver City and then you leave, you know, you're like, okay, we thought we weren't going to air. And the next thing you know, 2 weeks later, or 2 weeks before we aired, they were like, hey, you're airing the Friday before Black Friday, which is insane. Like it just
Right.
literally, we were scrambling. We want to make sure our website was, you know, didn't crash. So one of the biggest things that I took away from Shark Tank was when Lori told us this, she said, grow slow. And I think that's our biggest challenge now is that while we're looking at different sales channels, we really want to kind of vet it out and really see a plan and not jump into it as fast, right? Because honestly, that's one of the biggest benefits of us being a small company is we're very nimble. Like if we want to start a TikTok shop, I mean, with my team, we launch it versus big companies that it takes some time, right? But one of the biggest challenges for small businesses, like sometimes you have to take a step back and be like, hey, okay, is that really a good move for our brand? Because we can do it, but is that really the best move? So that's one of the biggest things that we've started implementing like late last year and early this year is like, hey, like let's really see the profitability of any new sales channels that we enter, or you know how much of a lift it'll be as well. So
Amazing. And what tool, I guess, a couple questions following up on that are, how many folks do you have as part of your company that help you from the aspects of customer service and marketing and that sort of thing, like support staff that really, help your idea flourish? And then what tools also do you use to help you from that perspective?
Yeah, as you know, we're bootstrapped, right? So because we partner with you, so we're 100% fully like we didn't want to take investment, and we're gonna hold out as long as we can, right? We want to be like Sarah Blakely, so
Yeah.
hopefully, we will get there, and we don't want to give up any equity, so we want to control it. But our team is really small; it's around 10 or 11 people, and we have people in the marketing side. We have customer service and slash logistics, people managing that. And then we have a finance team that helps us, kind of make sure that we have our cash flow. I mean, as a small brand, I think those are the biggest three aspects of a business that you really have to manage. And
Mhm.
if you don't manage one, then you can get you into trouble. So, but yeah, we're a small team, and we like being a small team. I don't think I'll ever want to be a really big company, just because we can be nimble, and that's the key. That's honestly, I think, our one of our biggest secrets.
And then I guess being nimble, fantastic. What was the first time you went viral? Like, what did you have the support staff to help you, or was that a little chaotic?
It was chaotic because we had just launched Beauty Pops. We didn't have supply chain, and we were shipping products out from our house because we ran out of our 3PL. So literally we were sending, 60, 70 orders every night, just packing ourselves. And I was, and that, as amazing as that sounds, it gets old pretty fast, right? So now we do have like, two 3PLs, one on the East Coast, West Coast. So we have supply chain, more laid out. But yeah, it when you succeed, there's the weight of success as well.
Yeah, amazing. Well, good. Maybe transitioning into kind of the financial aspect of this, as you mentioned, that's one of the kind of core competencies that you've built a team around is, I guess, how do you go about managing kind of the imbalance of revenue cycles and when you need cash? Obviously, any e-commerce brand faces this challenge of you have to first buy the product in order to sell it. And so those gaps exist and that sort of thing. Like maybe talk about your journey of how you've learned to address that over time and what it looked like to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, the journey is a painful one, to be honest. Our journey has been one of we go super viral, and then we run out of inventory, and we're on back ordered or pre-orders, and that in itself is a nightmare. And then then we'll order too much, and then we'll have to wait for next cycle. So I think one of the biggest things is logistics mirrors marketing, right? And I think that's what small businesses really have to understand. What we're trying to do, and I think we're starting to do, is find a sales channel where we can get a baseline through our marketing, right? So it's not so viral. And then the second thing is, when we do go viral, it's okay to say you're out of stock. And I think as small businesses, as soon as you go viral, you think you hit like the jackpot, you hit the gold mine, right? But I think sometimes you just have to step back and just be, okay, well, that's great, but we will maybe not sell as much, but that's okay, because if we did try to over leverage ourselves, it would put us in much of a bigger issue later on. So I think that is our biggest takeaway from the last 2 or 3 years, when I think we've gone viral probably 7 or 8 times. And it's fine. I think it's in lieu of that conversion. I think as a small brand, what you need to understand is that you can still nurture that customer, right?
Right.
So as they come in and they really want to buy your product and you're out of stock, it's okay. You still acquire to that customer, and later on, just as long as you nurture them, later on you can convert once you can meet the demand with your logistics.
Interesting. Interesting. So you're not always just solving for the inventory side of things. You're looking at it from the perspective of I've acquired that customer, so I can match the timing of inventory with need by nurturing them correctly.
Exactly. And then customers who really want your product will wait, and then you will have some drop off. But I think that's the one thing as brands, like we want to get the sale right away, right? Okay, we have to convert, we have to get those sales in. But I think long-term game, if you're really thinking about a long-term game, just take your time making sure your logistics isn't rushed, because we've rushed some production orders and it costs us even more trouble than it was worth.
Amazing. Have you guys ever employed any of the like the buy now, pay later products or the customer financing type of tools that exist in the market? And if so, what was that journey like for you guys?
Yeah, we have. I mean, it does, increase your, like you have to worry about your cash flow a little bit more. But I think it is, most companies do need to have it because it's just the buyer behavior, right? But we haven't had any bad experiences with it. But it's just one of those things in the business that shoppers do look for, right?
Amazing. All right, let's transition to kind of growing pains. I think you've covered some of this along the way, but if you were to kind of mark, multiple times in path in your journey, what are some of the significant challenges you've faced, and how did you overcome those items?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I think the growing pains is like entrepreneurship is just one big growing pain, one after another. It's rough. It's rough out here. But I will say this. I think just as long as you continue to grow, learn from those, then I think that's where you find the success, right? Whether it's from, like I said, ordering too much inventory or not ordering enough inventory, right? That was a big growing pain for us. Going viral, believe it or not, I would categorize that as a growing pain. I think everyone asks like, well, how do you go viral? Like, I think everyone's trying to ask that, like, how do you crack the code to make a video go crazy? We've been lucky enough to be able to do that, but on the flip side, it's a double-edged sword, right? It actually comes at a price, right? It comes at a cash flow issue, a logistics issue, customer service issue. And I think, people should actually look at that a little bit deeper before you really wish upon the virality of it, right?
Yeah.
I think, and in even just growing as, CEOs or co-founders in building out a team, I think that is a big growing pain for us too, or has been. But, we're super happy with everyone on our team. We have a really good team. I think what our brand stands for and who we are as a company, we're really proud of what me and my wife has built. But yeah, I mean, it's just one growing pain after that, to be honest, at the end of the day.
Amazing. Very well put. I guess before we jump into Q&A, one last question is what's next for you guys? Like where do you see this going and in the future for Love and Pebble?
Yeah, I think so. We are working on some pretty big things. We're working to hopefully get into retail. I think that's our big move. It is a very big, scary move, but I think, we're going to continue to grow our presence and gain our following online on e-commerce. But I think, for a lot of brands, I think the next move after you establish that is to get into retail. So
amazing. Awesome. So Paul, if you don't mind, we'll jump into there's been a handful of questions that come from the participants here that would love to join. Maybe first one we got was, where's your production located and how have you chosen the place or country?
So yeah, we were producing here in the US, and that was just the easiest because, we're in the US. Since then, we managed to move our production to Korea, where skincare is so innovative and new. And I mean, honestly, it's just us connecting with different co-founders in the skincare industry that recommended high quality production. But yeah, so like last summer, like I said, we flew our whole family to Korea and we just basically lived there and formulated our products. So it was insane, but it was pretty fun and pretty memorable.
Amazing. You mentioned something that I think is key is like what I have found is that the e-commerce founders, it's a very tight-knit community, right? You guys are constantly leveraging knowledge from each other. Do you have a group of mentors that you go to, or are there groups that you're a part of that have helped you along the way?
Yeah, and vice versa. I always like to offer value before I get value, right? Mm-hmm. So, we mastermind and there's companies bigger than us and there's companies smaller than us. There's so many different groups. Another big group that we really love is the Shark Tank community. So after being on the show, I feel like it bonds you with other brands. So there is a community of us that we, just share our wins and, share our losses as well. And what to stay away from and what to go towards.
Amazing. Second question from the audience was, how many different products did you guys make when you first started and what channel did you make your first sale through?
Yeah, I mean, we when we first started Love and Pebble, we actually sold skincare tools, right? And our first sale was on Amazon, I believe. And I think we had our website as well, but our first sales were on Amazon. And then it took us about 3 years to R&D the beauty pops. I mean, if you want to say how many different products of that, I think we had close to 50 different prototypes that all failed until we landed on our final one that we.
Amazing. Next question is, what's your favorite product you sell and why?
Honestly, our favorite product is the beauty pops. You know, it's because my wife invented it. We're patenting it, and it's just I'm super proud of her, and it's something that we created for the world, and it works really well. It's basically it not only transforms your skin, but the one thing that I realized about our product, and this is from our community and from the influencers, is it's like a spa session at home. So it gives you some time for yourself. It's like self-care. And even our slogan has changed from it. Our slogan now is self-care through skincare. And it's more than just like, making your skin look great now. I think it's more about like finding that me time and that time to take care of yourself. So we're super proud of the beauty pops.
Amazing. When you first searched for financing options for your business, what were you looking for, and why did you choose to partner with Stenn and not another company?
Yeah, I mean, so being bootstrapped, we've basically took on, different loans to kind of fund our brand. We ended up with Stenn. Honestly, Warren, our rep, is an amazing guy. Honesty, transparency is huge for us, right? Especially with finance, right? And so that communication piece was honestly one of the biggest things. But the other big thing is just the ease of access, and then like how we could map this out to really help our cash flow. I think that was the biggest partnership. And then like that's just one thing that we can check off on the different hats that we wear. So I can focus on marketing and we can focus on logistics. Just as long as we have enough, cash flow in the bank to fund all that, I think that's where we ended up with you guys.
Amazing. Well, Paul, thank you so much for your time. Like I said, you are a partnership works both ways, and we're so happy to have you as a partner as well. And we're proud of your brand and proud to showcase your brand as well. It's amazing what you've accomplished, and just can't thank you enough for your time.
All right. Thanks, Noel. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, kind of jumping in to finalize this thing is, Stenn, we're in the business of helping businesses like Paul's, and we have an interesting kind of product strategy where we will help the small business owners from both a revenue-based financing perspective, where we can provide them working capital to grow, but also from helping them from a trade perspective as well. We have financing options that can focus in to help them buy supply. And so some of the research that we've seen is this is a massively growing opportunity that is really underserved. And so 93% of US businesses, they want, of e-commerce companies want some sort of cash flow working capital solution. So our commitment to businesses like Paul's is to constantly be there and evolve as their business evolves, and finding them the best working capital solutions, most creative ways to help them make their business grow as well. So that's kind of Stenn in a nutshell. Really quickly, some things. Stenn has been around for almost a decade now, with over $19 billion financed over 74 countries, continuing to grow rapidly. And I think the most telling thing in this space is, because there's been a lot of kind of fleeting companies that have come and gone supporting these businesses, is Stenn has over $1.25 billion of committed capital to help businesses like Paul's and others in the space. So, we wanted to make this about Paul more so, and we spent as much time. And so this is about Paul, but also wanted to plug Stenn as part of this too. But with that, I think we're out of time. So appreciate everyone's time that came to the webinar today. This is the first of hopefully many we'll end up doing, and just can't tell you how much, Paul, we appreciate your business, and thank you for your time. And we'll be a part of your growth story, hopefully for a long time, and helping you achieve all of your dreams.
Yeah, thanks so much for you guys' support. Yeah, it's been amazing.
Amazing. With that, I appreciate everyone that joined, and we will hopefully connect at some point in the future.